right.
All right, I wanted to come up here, though, Randy. I wanted to do something just to change it up a little bit in here, okay? All right. By the way, my name's Levi. I make YouTube videos. And I want to see if y'all want to help me make a YouTube video? Yeah. Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me set the scene. And this is what we do when we work through some YouTube videos. We always set the scene. We always try to, okay, this is what we're going to do. All right, so I'm going to step down. I'm going to go kind of down this little aisle, stand at the back of the room. You're going to introduce me, right, and say some really nice things, okay? The nicest things.
Make it up?
Yes, absolutely. Make it up. And then Alex is going to be behind me. And then when you get done introducing me, they're going to cue the music. And then I'm going to start walking down this aisle, and everybody's going to stand up and act like they're really excited to see me speak.
They are excited.
And yeah, and then this whole aisle right here, we're going to be high-fiving as I come down here. So, I mean, they're going to be super excited, and then when I come up, it's just going to look amazing once we make that video.
I love it.
Got it? Cool? Okay, all
You're
right.
learning step by step here.
Right, see, y'all didn't sound too excited about that. Y'all,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah. Cue the music. There we go. What's up? Let's get this party started. Coming from us, fresh off the airplane, coming out of the, where is he coming from? Where'd he come from?
What's that?
Dallas, Texas.
Oh, that's right, Dallas.
Hey, coming to us from Dallas, Texas, we got the one and only Levi Lasik. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Levi.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah. Levi is the #1 YouTuber on the planet for the real estate space.
Oh, all right. That was a little rough.
Well done.
That was a little rough. Okay.
Sorry,
Easy.
buddy.
I'm getting older. All right. Oh, yeah. Let me make sure I got my clicker now. See, wasn't that fun? Okay, all right. There we go. Let me see here. Do I have slides? I think so, hopefully. There we go. Oh, I already went way too far. Okay. All right, so we're most known for passive prospecting, so you never have to cold call, door knock, or spend money on ads ever again. No offense to those that like to make their calls, all right? So first of all, I just wanted to introduce the family here. Got a 2-month-old, that's my wife Camilla, and little Lucas, yeah, he's right at 2 months. And he was a week old, and we took him to the Ranger game. We had Ranger tickets for the baseball game. And we're like, we're not going to miss that. They were sweet tickets. So 1 week old, I've already had him on a couple of webinars, and then he went to Build in Dallas, and so he's already been to his first conference, all within 2 months. I think this guy's going to be... he's going to be pretty cool. So, but don't worry, by the time he's 5, we're starting the Lego YouTube channel, okay? All right, so, and then Miss Penny, she didn't make the trip, but she's cool too. All right, so, but I always want to give a shout out and a thank you to my team. My man, Travis Plum, is in the back, my business partner. Yeah, go ahead, you can clap for Travis, yeah. Yaman, Chrissy, the funny thing with Chrissy is like, I found her on Fiverr over 6 years ago. So if you think that you can't find good people on Fiverr, and it's funny, we did a podcast episode with her, and we called it From Fiverr to Founder. She's actually a partner in one of our companies now. Alex Pace, who's here, he's our content director, and then the rest of the team. I couldn't do what I do without them, so I always want to give them credit, and so they always help us out. We took them to Cabo. We got a chance to go to Cabo again. And Brent, thank you so much if you're in the room. Brent's just been so gracious over the last couple of years and has had us at a lot of his speaking events. And so this time we turned it into a little team event, brought their team out. So we had a great time there, and it was amazing. Anybody know Michael Reese? Say aye. That's it? That's all? Anybody know Michael? Say aye. All right, I want to hear some strong ayes, okay? So we got there you go. All right, so Michael Reese, the funny thing is I got out of the military, and I was in Dallas, and I took a couple of months off, like once you get out of the military, they're like, I'm tired of working out and doing all that running around stuff. So, and then I started to feel a little sluggish, and I was like, I need to get into shape again, so I'm going to call some local gyms. And I called this Bally Total Fitness, and this guy answers the phone. He's like, hi, this is Michael Reese. Thanks for calling Bally Fitness. And I was like, who? He's like, yeah, you should come in, check out the gym. I was like, all right, cool. So I went in there, 21 years old. I was dead broke. I was working an $8 an hour job. and he sold me the most expensive membership on a 3-year contract with personal training that Bally's had to offer. It was like $75 a month, which was a lot of money back then, especially when you're 21 and broke. So I really hated Michael for a little while. I always avoided him whenever I went into the gym. And I was like, God, I really hate that guy. But the funny thing was I lost my job that I had for $8 an hour, and then he ended up recruiting me. And so that was my first sales job, was selling gym memberships with Michael Reese before he got into real estate. And I remember the weekend he met Jay Kinder, if you've ever heard that story. He met Jay Kinder on the lake. I remember that Monday he came in and he's like, I'm getting into real estate. I was like, all right, cool, good luck, sounds cool, but I'm good. And so he got licensed in 2002, and he tried to get me in at that time, but I didn't really want to be a real estate agent. So I just delayed it for about 2 years. Finally, he actually talked me into it in 2004. And so I got technically licensed, not technically, I actually got licensed in 2004, but I had my license for literally 1 week. And I was still in the reserves at that time. And that's whenever I got a call from my captain. And my captain said, hey, Levi, you got about 4 days to report to Fort Hood. You're going to be deployed and you'll be gone for about 18 months. I was like, oh, okay. Well, so much for my career in real estate there. And so I realized at that time, I was like, well, I got sent overseas. But working with Michael, the funny thing was that he took me to my very first Brian Tracy event, and I would just say my first event ever about self-development. I didn't even know that stuff existed, but I learned a simple framework from working with Michael that this has served me very well over the last 25 years, which is just really the fast path, I think, to getting to where you want to go. Because I think Tony Robbins says that, look, everybody's already done really what you want to do, probably. Somebody has. And so if you just follow that model, then it's probably the fastest way you'll get there. And so that's what I learned at that time, was like, who's at the top? How did they get there? How can I model it? How can I adjust that to fit my personality? And then me being a little bit competitive, I always wonder, hey, can I do a little bit better? But for me, like working with Michael on selling gym memberships, I'd always ask the question, like, what did you do your first month? What did you do your first 6 months? What did you do your first year? Because I just needed the benchmark. If he was the best, I just need that little bit of a benchmark to give myself a goal to say, hey, I wonder if I can beat that, And then if I'm learning from the person that set that benchmark, then I should have a better chance if I'm a fast study. So that's what really served me well as I started to move throughout my career. So, the next thing I'm deployed, right? And this is where I find myself in Iraq at, early 20s, and it's tough, It's not the ideal environment, let's just say that. This was 2004, 2005, so still a pretty shaky time there in Iraq. And so that top left picture, if you look at that, we're inside a C-130. That was when we were first flying into country. A C-130, by the way, is a cargo plane. It's really made to ship equipment, not made for troops. That's why we're along the wall, because that's really the only seats in a C-130. There's no windows on it. And when you fly into Baghdad, you actually fly in the middle of the night and in a corkscrew pattern like this. So if you think you've had a few rough, landings before, try flying in on a giant cargo plane, middle of the night, you can't see what's going on. And you do that to reduce your risk of possibly getting shot out of the sky. So that's your first introduction to going into country. So you land at like midnight in Baghdad, and you're like, okay, great, now we're here. Now, the reason I bring this up is because, there's always a lot of talk about mindset. And I think mindset is important, but for me, what I learned in the military was that discipline sometimes is a lot more powerful than mindset, because I will tell you, in that environment, every single day my mind was telling me, you're not supposed to be here, you need to go home soon. This is not right. Every time we left base camp, we called that going outside of the wire, because of course we're protected by walls and wire and guard towers and all that stuff. So we'd have to go outside the wire. And every single time that happened, I would always say, not really the best thing to do. And you just had to face that environment. You couldn't, we worked 7 days a week, and there were no days off. And you can't just lay in bed one day and say, I don't feel like going to work. You can't do that. Otherwise, they discharge you and send you home, right? And you're going to have a whole nother issue going around. So discipline is able to work through those times that your mind is telling you that you shouldn't be doing something. Just like when you go to make your calls, or maybe you go to make a video, right? And then all of a sudden you're like, oh my goodness, the dishes, I need to go do the dishes real quick. I can't believe I let those piled up. Any other time we don't want to do the dishes until it's time to do what we really need to do, right? And so that's where I learned where discipline really overtakes all of that. And so, when we were in Iraq too, we lost a couple of our team members, and even in that type of environment, this is the most extreme I think you can get, is that's where you have to rely on discipline again, because you had to go back out in that same environment where, if you just lost somebody, it's like that, it could happen to you. And so we just had to learn to work through that. So the reason I bring this up too is because who has never heard of the cash flow quadrant? Can I see a show of hands? And be honest, please. Who's never heard of cash flow quadrant? Okay, several of you. So this is very important because the whole point of this is to get from the left side of the quadrant to the right side of the quadrant, right? This is the difference between being leveraged or unleveraged. This is where true wealth is built on the right side of the quadrant. So none of us in here wanted to be employees, right? Because you trade time for money and you end up working for somebody else. So we're like, okay, we're going to be really smart and get a real estate license. But the problem with that is that we still trade time for money. We're just doing it for ourselves instead of somebody else. So all we did was move down, and we got in the S quadrant and became self-employed. So true wealth starts to begin on the right side. So if we want to move to that right side of the quadrant and become a business owner in real estate, you need to be able to leverage people, processes, or systems, or something like a YouTube channel or some other format that is generating business for you, or that you can step away from that and the business will still run without you. But of course, the ultimate goal is to get to the I quadrant, to be an investor, because that is where true leverage steps in, when your money can make you money. So the reason I share that too is because I'm just curious, how many of you here are the primary income earner for your family? Let me see a show of hands. Okay. Actually, stand up if you're the primary income earner for your family. Oh yeah, there's debates now going on. Okay, you can both stand up. It's all right. Let's go. All right, Lexi, you stand up. We know you're the true. All right, yeah, we know. So. All right, so now, no, stay standing. It's wait, hold on, we didn't say, hold on yet. All right, so, let me go back there. Whoops. All right, so what I want you to understand, pick somebody next to you, and this is what you need to look at them. I want you to say this and say, look, you are your family's most important insurance policy. Go ahead, look, somebody say, let them know, you are your family's most important insurance policy. Now look at that same person and say, I am my family's most important insurance policy. Does that feel a little different? Does that hit a little differently now? So if you've never thought of it that way, now we can sit down. I just wanted to kind of set that tone right there. That's the importance of becoming a business owner over being a real estate agent. All right? So if you're the most important insurance policy for your family, you have to take that very, very seriously. And the reason I say that's so important is because for me, I was a tough guy, right, until I wasn't a tough guy. I mean, I played high school football. I've been in shape my whole life. I was in the military, of course, even in Iraq, and made it through that. But like I said, I was the tough guy until I wasn't the tough guy. And I got this digestive disease whenever I was in Iraq, in 2005, and it messed with me for about 8 years until 2013 happened. And then all of a sudden, I lost 50 pounds in a single month and became completely bedridden and disabled at 33 years old. So again, this is something that if you are your family's most important insurance policy and you are just self-employed, meaning you have a license and everything is dependent upon you, and then all of a sudden anything could take you out of the picture, that's a problem. So that's why you have to start thinking about these things, and you have to take action on them right now, because this is what I never expected to ever happen to me, but it did. Now, I went to 4 different GI doctors. They threw the kitchen sink at me. I mean, it was the worst time in my life. This was way worse than Iraq. And for 3 months, I was on my deathbed, and I thought literally, I'll never make it out of this. I thought every single night I went to bed, there's no way that my body can handle anymore, and whenever I wake up, I won't wake up, possibly. But God's grace, I found a natural doctor, and this guy saved my life and changed everything. Whenever I met him, he was like, yeah. He was just like, yeah. let's just change your diet and put you on some vitamins. And then all of a sudden, within 3 weeks, I started to get better. And it took me a full year to recover, but I was able to recover 100% without any medication or surgery or anything else. And now it's been over, it's been over a decade. Over a decade, I think I look better now at 44 than I did at 33 years old, right? I'm kind of like Benjamin Button. I'm aging in reverse, I think, maybe, hopefully, yeah. So you never know. Now, transition into that, I realized that I would never have a job again because I lost my job because after 90 days, I went on medical leave and they wanted me to come back to work. I wasn't physically able to do that, and I lost that job, and that's whenever I realized I need to be a business owner because guess what? Whenever that happened, my income stopped. So I started a financial services business, started working with teachers on retirement planning, helping them plan their financial future. So it was really cool because I had a teacher schedule, but I had like 5 times a teacher's income. So I started living my best life, like traveling the world. I also realized, man, I've been to Iraq, almost died there, almost died from a digestive disease. And then I'm like, I've never been anywhere in the world except for the border of Mexico when it used to be safe, right? Living in Texas. And that was the 90s, by the way. So I was like, man, I got to get out and see the world. I went to 24 countries inside of 3 years. I was having the great time because I had summers off, 2 weeks off for Christmas, all this cool stuff. And then guess what happened in 2020? The world shuts down. My whole world shut down. What was I doing? Working with teachers at schools and traveling the world. Schools shut down, travel shut down. And then I found myself at 41 years old asking myself, okay, what now? I mean, what am I going to do? How do I start over without starting over? That was the biggest concern for me because I didn't know. I didn't know would schools ever open up ever again? Would the world ever open up ever again? I mean, I just didn't know what was going to happen over 2020. And then here comes Michael Reese, which, by the way, we've been friends for the last 20 years. And here comes Michael Reese. Hey, man, now's the time. Now's the time to get into real estate. And, this wasn't something I was looking for. And I was like, oh, man, okay. Well, maybe he's got something, but I still really didn't want to be a real estate agent. No offense. So I was like, I don't know. Let me think about that a little bit. And so I decided, though, I was like, okay, when I didn't really see another path to doing anything, really my biggest fear was I had seen how successful Michael and Jay Kinder were, right? I'd known them, and I was thinking, I was 41 too, and I was like, man, what if I get into real estate and I just suck? I know how hard they worked, and almost their whole career, really, but you know how hard agents work in their first 3-4 years just to build their business. And I didn't really want to start over. I wasn't looking forward to that. But also when you have 2 friends who are highly successful, and you're under their watch, I was just like, man, I don't want to fail. So most people get into real estate and then they try to figure out a plan. I was like, let me see if I can figure out a plan and then I'll get into real estate. So I love to say you can hyper-learn anything this day and age in 60 days, really. With the amount of information out there, you can do that. So I had to figure out what am I going to learn in the next 60 days that will give me some sort of foresight to get into real estate. So let me ask you this. Stand up if you've ever marketed to a for sale by owner before. That means you've called them, you've texted them, you've knocked on their door, you sent them a postcard, you've done something to market to a FSBO. That's FSBO, by the way. All right, now stay standing. Stay standing if you've read at least 10 books on FSBO marketing. Stay standing if you've read at least 10 books on one person? One person, all right. Hey, 2 days ago in Build in Dallas, there was 0. So a room like this and the room in Dallas, think about this. In one form of lead generation in real estate that is, somebody would say is as old as real estate, marketing to for sale by owners, look at all the people in this room, and one person and 0 people in Dallas have even taken the time to truly study how to market to that one lead source. So when I was looking at social media, I didn't want to be on 5 different platforms because I was afraid of putting 20% effort across 5 different platforms. I said, I'm going to choose one platform. I'm going to go all in on that platform. I'm going to master that platform. Then maybe I'll consider branching off into other things. So all I did, I'm no different than anybody here. If you're thinking about getting started on YouTube, I just sat down and studied it for about 60 days. I bought all the YouTube marketing books I could find on Amazon. I watched 500 YouTube videos, and look at this. I did a simple search, and popped up 10 books very easily on Amazon, and that's just the starting point. That's where I think you should just start if you wanted to become the best FSBO marketer. You could do this on open houses. You could do this on expireds. The information is out there. It's just, do you want to be the best? And somebody in here, and she's got a great head start, right? And I would argue that she's probably the best FSBO marketer in here. But otherwise, that means that it's wide open right now for any lead source in real estate for you to be one of the best at in the business. And you've got some serious talent sitting in this room. So think about it. Randy hasn't even read 10 books. This guy, I know, he reads a lot, right? So when I started to dig into YouTube, 2 books. Sometimes you're just looking for one thing whenever it comes from, you're looking for, when you attend these conferences or read books, and YouTube Secrets, this one paragraph. This is a 220-page book. But this one paragraph, Benji talked about, he had a YouTube channel in 2009 making videos, and he went from doing 10 deals a year to doing 100 deals a year because of his YouTube channel. That was a light bulb. Then I read this next book, and it said YouTube is a search engine, not a social media platform. I was like, aha, okay, because I was a little apprehensive to get on social media. Again, if you're like me at that 40-year-old age range and above, we've got that love-hate relationship with social media, right? So I was like, oh, well, it's not a social media platform. That's cool. I can handle that. So that's what allowed me to start this YouTube channel along with Travis. We just started to create videos about Dallas, stayed consistent, and here's the concept that I want to leave you with here is that YouTube did not take me time. It actually made me time. And not only did it make me time, it compounded time. In like 1 year, the channel was watched 104,600 hours. You divide that by 24 hours in a day, that's equivalent to almost 12 years worth of prospecting in a 1-year time frame. That's it. Now, if I were to say, hey, if you're making phone calls 2 hours a day, no offense, Randy, if you were making phone calls 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, it would take you 143 years to match the prospecting that my channel did in 1 year. That's the compound effect, right? So it didn't take me time to make those videos. It gave me that amount of time. And if time's the most valuable asset, we should be asking, hey, what's the return of my time if I'm going to invest it into something? I'm sorry. I was told I had 30 minutes. Do I? Okay. All right. My timer's going off. So, all right. So also, I didn't know what time I was going to be on. You think they keep things secret from you here. So I didn't know what time I was going on. So I was like, let me take a quick screenshot. I figured it might be in the morning, but look at this. 10 a.m. in the morning yesterday, the channel is being watched by 192 people. You can almost account for that's probably the exact amount probably watching right now that I'm on the stage with you. So even though I'm here with you right now, the channel is probably prospecting to about 190 to 200 people at this moment. So that is a system that is working for me while I'm somewhere else. I don't have to be in my business. I don't even have to be in my own state because I live in Dallas, Texas, right? So that's the power of YouTube right there. That's the power of something working for you so that you don't have to. And what were the results of that? Well, it took about 100 days to get the first deal under contract from the channel. From there, closing the first 2 deals, we ended up closing over 100,000 in GCI the next 100 days. By the end of our very first year in real estate, Travis and I closed over 64 homes and over $1 million in GCI, and then it compounded from there. Of course, 2022 was even crazier. Our second year, can you imagine 187 homes closed? Now, third year, 137, on pace to do about 100. And yes, that may look like it's going down, but guess what? Guess what the market's doing right now? I don't know about you, but the transactions are almost non-existent. But I would still take 100 home sales from one lead source. By the way, this has all been organic with 0 ad spend. So I would take that from one lead source just added to my business. So I know a lot of you are generating business in other ways, but can you imagine if you just added this to that? Would it be worth it to do an extra 6 figures a quarter or in 6 months or even $1 million in a year from one other lead source that you didn't have to run ads to or really didn't have to take too much of your time? So, and what does that do for agent attraction? Well, we started a separate channel for that. Because again, we knew if we could create content, we could attract people to EXP. And the thing is that I don't have 10, 15, 20 years in the business. I didn't have relationships Brent and Randy and these guys, amazing relationships, right? And I think that's the best place you could always tap into. And some of you have been in this business for a long time, and you should be taking advantage of that, which is really just reaching out to people. But you'll never know whose life you may change just by reaching out and asking them, have you heard about EXP? But for us, we didn't have that. So we created a channel on top of that, two separate audiences. I don't recommend you mix that. You should not have that on your same channel because it's way too different. All right, so if you want an agent attraction channel, you need to have something that's separate. But, that's led to right now, having 7 levels unlocked, over 500 in organization. Again, this hasn't even really been a true focus for us. Now we're going to start focusing on it, which we did in the last couple of months, and we just onboarded another 75 frontline agents. Yeah. But again, thank you. Now, how many of you have ever bought a car before? Say aye. Aye. That's it? How many have bought a car before? Say aye. Aye. Okay. Have you ever looked under the hood before you bought that car? Say aye. Aye. How many of you knew what you were looking at? Okay, yeah, that's what I thought, yeah. But you're like, they say you want to look under the hood, and you're like, yeah, sure, I'll take a look. Oh, nice, it's got a big cover on it. You can't even see the engines anymore. All right, so look, I can't teach you YouTube in 20, 25 minutes. I apologize for that. But I can give you a test drive, right? I can let you look under the hood and give you a test drive. And if you want to test drive, if this is something that you're interested in learning, then I'm offering you a free test drive. That'll give you access to our community. I have everything in there, by the way. Everything you would ever need to start your YouTube journey. You can test it out for a few days, no cost at all whatsoever. If you see something that you like or you think maybe this is an avenue you want to go down, then just continue on from there, and that'll be completely up to you. Now, who is interested on how we got 95 clients to raise their hands in this market and got those 75 FLAs in the last few months? Is anybody interested in that? Say aye. Okay. Because again, I can't teach you YouTube in 20 minutes, but I wanted to leave you with something that you can walk away with. Anybody in here in your business, because I'm assuming that most of you, how many have a database of at least 3 years old? Say aye. Okay. So this worked for us, and our database is only about 3 years old. So if you have a database that's older than that, this should work even better. So here's the deal. When's the last time you just asked your database? A lot of you will work your database, right? Maybe you'll call and text or anything like that, but when have you just asked them to show up somewhere? And if you can't see that, I made it a little bit bigger for you. So this is what we did. We sent out a simple email to our database. Hey, Levi here. I'm hosting a live webinar on date and time of your choice. It's going to be all about buying or selling your home, even if you don't know where to start, or even in this crazy market, or even with 7% interest rates. Something like that. That simple. I'd love for you to come accept my invitation here. Just send that email out to your database. Do it on Monday and see what happens. Now, this is what happened for us. Register, 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 register. In this market, guess what we did? We just hosted a Zoom call. That was it. Guess what we had? 95 people on there. In this market. Now, guess who else we had on there? Our lender. Guess where 85% of the questions were directed to? Guess what we did? Take it away, Mr. Lender. Yeah. Ask him all the questions. Exactly. But can you believe that? Sitting in our database, and ours is only about three plus years old, 95 people that are behind the scenes. Maybe they don't answer your phone call. Maybe they don't answer your text. But then we just offered, hey, jump on a Zoom. One email, that was it. Just that email I showed you. We just sent it out and said, hey, we're hosting this. You want to jump on? We didn't know. Well, I mean, we saw by the registers. But we had about a 95% show rate, too. So all that registered, most everybody showed up there. Great conversations we're able to target. Now we got 95 hot leads in this market right now. Now, agent attraction. Hopefully, you have your database segmented by agents over clients. And if you don't, you need to do that as fast as possible. But if you should, and if you don't, you should be segmenting your database. You should have some sort of tag or mark in there that tags them as a real estate agent. It's the same thing. Here's the email. Hey, want to join our team at EXP? That's it. Very upfront. Let's talk about your business and your goals, and you can apply here. We'll also discuss how you can unlock secrets to, attract new leads, mastering closing techniques, receive personalized coaching from myself and Travis, how to access all of our programs, much more. That's it. Simple email. Now, if you don't feel like you have very much to offer, this is where your upline, right? This is where your sponsors come into play. So you talk to them and say, hey, what do we have to offer? What are some incentives that I, whenever I'm talking to somebody, because our little secret in bringing on all these people is that I've actually never explained EXP to anybody. I've only talked to them about how to help them improve their business and their production. We've got videos that explain EXP. So that's the call to action. If they want to book a call with us, they've got to watch that video first, then they book a call with us, and then I've never sat there and explained stocks and rev share and these other things that people want to sell, right? That's what the last speaker said. Who likes to be sold to? Nobody. But they love shopping with friends. So, that's it. Simply just asking and saying, hey, you want to get on a call, and whenever we send out the email, guess what happens? Partner call, 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 partner call. And these are people that are jumping on our calendar knowing what we're going to talk about. But again, we don't have to talk about the mechanics. They just want to know, what their number one question is when we get on a call with them? So how does this work? Yeah. What's the logistics like? Like okay, I know what you said in your email, but how can you help me with my business? Well, tell us a little bit about your business. What are your goals? What are you looking to do? And it becomes about them, not about us trying to sell them on why they should join EXP. So EXP just becomes icing on the cake. Then stocks, rev share, all the other benefits that we have, just put the cherry on top. Right? Because that's what people want to know. They want to know, how are you going to help them improve themselves and their business and their production? That's what they want. Now, of course, you're going to come across some broker who doesn't need your help exactly, but you need to talk about how you can help them and their agents, right? Because every broker struggles with that, how to get their team and their brokerage to produce and go from there. So, and that's a look at the calendar, like taking calls at the bottom there. And they just book on there. So again, trying to do everything else in the day and then leaving the spots on the back half of the day open for partner calls, and they'll be booked 4 or 5 calls a day. That would be nice, right? Working your own database that you should be nurturing anyways, even for real estate agents, and then just ask them, hey, want to learn more? And guess what? They jump on there. So all those setbacks I shared with you earlier, the reason I shared those with you is that no matter what you're going through, I don't know about you, but mine were pretty extreme, combat in Iraq, physical, setback, financial. In 2020, I lost everything because my business stopped almost for a whole year as I was resetting at 41 years old. But I came back stronger in all those areas from all those setbacks because I continued to work through those issues and try to find the solution. And overall, I think all setbacks, at least for me, make me a lot more spiritually stronger. And so that is what I find a lot of solitude in right there. So again, you can feel free to test drive the community again if you want to learn a little bit more about YouTube. But hopefully those 2 emails that I gave you right there is something that you can implement in your business on Monday. And I appreciate your time today. So make it a great day.